Hi guys, it's Misty here. Welcome to another card video on my YouTube channel. Okay, so I have a card I want to share. I made this card a couple weeks ago for a challenge on a new Crafty Friends blog. Her name is Darnell, and she does this challenge twice a year, and it's a really fun challenge. I'll put a link in the description below to get to her blog, but it encourages people to use stamps that they've never used before. And so that's what I did. I made this card for this challenge in particular. All right, so I'm using Nevermore by Inkadinkado, is the skull right there. And then I'm also using images from the Apothecary stamp set by Stampers Anonymous and the Mini Halloween set by Stampers Anonymous. And I'm starting out with just a piece of cream colored cardstock. I believe it's cut to 4 by 5 1/4, so I wanted a little bit of a border. And I'm just trying to figure out, as always, I didn't really know where I was going with this, so I was trying to plan out where I wanted to put images, because I knew I wanted to make my own background, kind of background paper. So I'm just going to use distress inks to kind of distress this paper up a bit, and that takes me a long time, so I'm not going to list everything I used. I'll list all the colors on my blog if you want to see which colors I used, but yeah, otherwise this video would be way too long if I shared all the distressing I did. But anyway, I'm just trying to darken up the paper, just make it look kind of aged, kind of old, kind of go with the Halloween feel. And I mean, it turned out good, but I used some black soot, and I wasn't quite sure if I was going to redo this whole thing or not, but I just went with it. I figured there was going to be enough images on it that maybe it wouldn't make too much of a difference. But down at the bottom of the paper, I didn't really like the way the black soot looked. But I'm just using archival jet black ink for this. And I use that for most of the images, but a couple of the images I use some distress ink too. I don't usually stamp with distress ink, just because you just don't know if you're going to get a nice solid image or not. But with this one, it didn't really matter. If it wasn't a perfect image, I was okay with that. That's what's fun about making Halloween cards, is it doesn't have to be, I don't know, I feel like I'm a little bit easier on myself because I'm really hard on myself with my cards. Like if it's not absolutely perfect, it drives me nuts. But with Halloween cards, it doesn't have to be perfect. It can just be part of what you're going for. So I'm going to use distress ink on the little skeleton image here. I love the little skeleton. And again, I'll have all the colors listed on my blog if you want to check them out. All these pink stamps I've never used before. So I just love this challenge because I'm intimidated by challenges, but this was one. I love this one because it's just using stamps you've never used before. And I have a lot of those. But anyway, it's just a fun challenge, especially for people like me who have not really gotten into many challenges yet. But yeah, so I did this a couple weeks ago. I took off to Costa Rica. I just got back last night, and I actually had time to edit this on my trip, so I'm hopefully going to wrap it up and get this uploaded. It gets dark at like 5 o'clock, 5:30 there, so I had lots of free time in the evenings. I'm just glad I had some time to get some card making stuff done. I was like having withdrawals. I miss my craft room. I miss making cards. So these videos kind of brought me back to life. Costa Rica was a lot of fun. It was a blast. I loved playing in the ocean, and warm ocean, not freezing cold hypothermia ocean like we have here. And my son had a lot of fun too, so I'm glad we went. But I'm so glad to be home. So I'm still just making my background, overlapping images. I really like the Apothecary stamp set by Stampers Anonymous. I love that kind of script writing stamp right there. I think that's one of my favorites. And then the skull ones too, of course. I made another Halloween card at the same time I made this one, also for the challenge, the Nubis challenge that I was talking about. So I'll put at the end of this video, you'll be able to click on the image of that card if you would like to see the other Halloween card I made using new images that I've never used too. It turned out pretty cool. It's a big skull card that I made. Anyway, I'm just trying to make this feel complete. I know it's just a background image, but I just kept overlapping stamps, and I still felt like something was missing at this point. I mean, I liked where it was going, but it needed something else. And when I found this image, I was so excited because this is exactly what it needed, I thought. So it just looks like splatters, and when you use red, it makes it look like blood. So it's perfect for this card. Then I felt like it was complete. It was complete for a background. But then I'll add one more image. So that's fired brick, it looks like I used for the blood splatters. And I wasn't sure if I was going to use a spider image because I'm not a big spider fan, but it turned out pretty cool when I added it. I loved it. I think that was it. That's what I needed to add to this. I love making Halloween cards. I just love using images like this. I mean, all of these images brought together, I think, turned out pretty cool. And that spider and that ink is just so, I mean, it just makes it stand out perfectly. That's what I was hoping for. So that's my background paper. I'm done with that now. And then the, I guess, main focal point of the card is going to be this skull. So I stamped it out, and I stamped it out using the jet black ink, and then realized it just doesn't blend well with Copic marker. So I restamped it using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And then I just used a bunch of Copic markers to color in the skull. Again, I'll have those colors listed on my blog. And then I didn't want this image to have any type of border around it, so I just fussy cut the image out. And then I'm going to take a black marker and go around the edges just to make it, in case I didn't cut it perfectly. And this will make it look like I did. Gotta love these little tips and tricks that you learn. And you know, looking at it now, I did use a Halloween themed paper for the background. And if I make this card again, I think it would have looked perfect with just black cardstock as a background and not necessarily a Halloween themed paper. So if I do this card again, that's what I'll do. But I was going with a Halloween theme, so it worked for this one. Just using, what is this? What black cardstock? Basil Licorice Twist black cardstock. It's a nice heavy black cardstock. I like it. And that's going to be my card base. And then just taking my bone folder and making sure it has a nice crisp crease to the paper. And then it's just putting it all together. Just going to glue on the Halloween cardstock. Or it's not cardstock, Halloween pattern paper. See, it says Halloween, witches, ghosts. It's definitely a Halloween themed pattern paper. But looking at it now, I almost wish I would have just went with the black, because then it wouldn't have been just for Halloween. So, okay, so the pattern paper there went a little bit over the size of my card base. So I am horrible at cutting. I see, people cutting the paper, just scissors down the side, looks perfect. I can't do that. When I do that, it looks horrible. It's not a clean cut at all. No matter what I do, it's not a clean cut. So it had like all these little ridges and ragged areas. And so I just took this little sand paper thing. It was just sitting there, so I just thought I would try it and kind of sanded the paper, and it turned out pretty smooth. I was happy with it. It's just one of those little Tim Holtz sanders. Yeah, who would have thunk sanding paper could smooth out your card pattern paper. I'm using double-sided adhesive on a piece of black fun foam. I decided I wanted to pop up the card front a little bit from the card base, so just using Be Creative or Souk Wing double-sided adhesive and some black fun foam, and I'll pop up my card front a little bit just to give it a little bit of dimension. Honestly, like, I love the background even just like that. I didn't even could have done without the skull, but I love me my skulls. So I put a bunch of foam squares on the back of this too, because I wanted that to pop up a bit as well. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just to add an insert. It's dark cardstock, so you kind of need something to write on. So I just cut a shape out with my silhouette and distressed the paper like I did the front and added a happy Halloween to it. So, and that's it. That's my card. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please click on the like button, and be sure to subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. And there's the other card I made for the same challenge, which you can get to by clicking on the video below this. Click on the other image and it'll take you to a really cool football card that I made. So thanks again for watching this. I will see you next time. Bye!